Hello and welcome back to the Prime Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, Brayden Dowers, and today we have the first iteration of the Deadbirds Discussion podcast. Here in this video, we'll be covering the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's just get started off with what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be going over the international signings that the Cardinals have just recently made, highlighted by Luis Rodriguez, Jordalyn Mejia, and Juan Ben Cho. But let's first start off with some of the other prospects. They signed Arfini Batista, a shortstop out of the Dominican Republic, Junior Chirinos, a right-handed pitcher out of Venezuela, Diego Dominguez out of Mexico, he's also a right-handed pitcher, Jovi Galvez, another right-handed pitcher out of the Dominican, Yordi Herrera, a left-handed pitcher out of the Dominican Republic. Then they have Jordalyn Pena, a center fielder out of the Dominican Republic. Then they have Leon Sequeira, a right-hander out of Venezuela. Jose Sorilla, another right-handed pitcher out of the Dominican Republic. And Nelfi Yefaneta, another right-handed pitcher out of the Dominican Republic. Now, there's a pretty good chance that I mispronounced some of those names, but as you can tell, the Cardinals did really want to stock up on pitching in the international signings. The three names that I didn't mention there were Juan Ben Cho, Luis Rodriguez, and Jordalyn Mejia, simply because they were the ones that highlighted this. But let's look specifically at Luis Rodriguez. He is the number 26 prospect out of 30 that MLB does choose to rank. He's 17 years old. He bats and he throws right-handed. He's 6'1", and in his scouting report, he has a 55 grade hit. He has a 55 grade power. He has a 45 grade run. He has 50 arm strengths. He has 50 fielding, and overall, MLB decided to rank him at a 55. Now, if you play MLB The Show, this obviously doesn't sound great, but in terms of MLB scouts and MLB rankings, this is pretty good, especially for a 17-year-old. This is somebody that can definitely become a solid prospect. And I know that the Cardinals have Ivan Herrera and a host of other catching prospects in their minor league system, but a very good, versatile part about Rodriguez is that scouts could see him possibly transferring to first base in the future. Obviously, he's not going to start out and Rodriguez isn't going to start out in a place like AA or AAA. He'll probably won't even start out in Palm Beach or Aurora. He'll most likely just be at the training camp facilities during the season where they have a bunch of players just work out and they continue to get better, but they're not really on a team and they just continue to play scrimmages. And again, he's 17 years old. He has plenty of time to grow as a player, and scouts, again, they project that he can probably play catcher all throughout the minors, but once or if he gets to that major league level, he will most likely have to become a first baseman, and that is a position outside of Paul Goldschmidt, obviously, until 2025, and Juan Yepez soon after that. Yepez is more suited for a role of DH, but Rodriguez is somebody that you could possibly see the Cardinals look to have as a future first baseman. He has a lot of raw power. He has very good raw potential. His arm and his fielding, he could be a very quick first baseman. He could be a very quick catcher, which is something that the Cardinals have obviously been good at developing in the past. Now, when you look at Jordalyn Mejia, he was the number 14 prospect in the pipeline. He is 16 years old, and he bats both directions. He's a switch hitter. Cardinals have multiple switch hitters on their current roster. Tommy Edmond highlights that. He's 6 foot tall and weighs 178 pounds. And similar to Rodriguez, he has 55 hit, but he does differ in power. He has 50 run, which is faster than Rodriguez. He has a better arm. Same fielding, but overall they are both rated 55, which is something worth noting. But Mejia has a play style that he himself has said is like Javier Baez, and that's somebody that he really looks up to. And something that I found funny in the scouting report is scouts deemed him as somebody that's Javier Baez, but he actually makes contact with the ball. It's been noted that Mejia is actually like he doesn't have that high of a strikeout rate in the Dominican Republic, and that he's been able to make consistent contact, and he hits the ball very far when he does this. So they say that his power is supposed to be above average, and his defense basically already is. He plays the game with a certain kind of energy, which is obviously something that the Cardinals want. That's something any MLB team can get insane amounts of value from. So overall, these two prospects are really good. It's obviously great that the Cardinals got them, but specifically for Mejia, there are some prospects in the minor leagues. I believe Brendan Donovan is also somebody else that can be playing shortstop for us. You also have Tommy Edmond and Paul DeJong, but they're not necessarily long-term solutions at the shortstop position. Edmundo Sosa might be that kind of guy, and the Cardinals could still even go out and sign a guy like Trevor Story, even though that is very unlikely. So Mejia could be somebody, again, he's 16, 17 years old. We wouldn't really be seeing him until around 2026, if even then. So it's not really something that we should be looking at right now, obviously. But he is definitely a name that we should be looking at. Moving on to Juan Ben Cho. This is probably the best prospect that the Cardinals got. This is what really got Twitter riled up. He's 17. He is from South Korea. He's 6'2", weighs 100 or 225 pounds, and he bats lefty. Now, what is so good about Juan Bin Cho? He's one of the best high school prospects. He was going to almost for sure be a top 5 pick in the KBO draft. So he's one of the best 5 prospects in the entire KBO. And he said, screw that, I'm going to the MLB. And thankfully and luckily, the Cardinals were able to grab him. He has absolutely insane power. There's a YouTube video of him hitting at Globe Life Park. Where he hits, I believe, 15 home runs, and he won whatever like power contest that they were having there. All around, really good power. His swing, just looking at it, it reminds me of Shohei Ohtani. And supposedly he can even throw 90 miles per hour off the mound. I doubt that we're going to make him a pitcher or our own Shohei Ohtani, even though that would be extremely cool. That's not going to happen. But he's an all-around 5'2" player. And I know that the Cardinals really already have this in somebody like Tyler O'Neill. But luckily, Cho, he's a center fielder. So Harrison Bader, while he is under team control for the next couple years, you have to wonder if that's the guy that the Cardinals are really going to be looking to give like a 4-year extension. And again, I know Brendan Donovan, he can play those outfield positions as well with how versatile he is, but that's not necessarily a name that we're going to be seeing, and Lars Nootbaar isn't somebody either. Dylan Carlson might be the long-term solution at center field, but he seems like more of a corner outfielder. So Cho is definitely somebody that the Cardinals, especially since he's 17, he's probably the best prospect that we got in this entire international free agency. And while he wasn't ranked, the rankings and the MLB pipeline are more specific for the Latin American players, and like they don't even have those grades that I showed you for Rodriguez and Mejia, like the hit, power, run, arm field, and their overall. Simply because they don't really give those for these players. But I can tell you just from watching his film, this kid is going to be absolutely insane. He's going to be extremely good. Again, he declined from the KBO draft and is now coming to the MLB. He's completely skipping that entire process. He is the youngest player that the Cardinals signed, I believe, and he is the first Asian prospect that the Cardinals have signed, but you can obviously look back to just recently Kang Hwang Kim, Sung Wong Oh, and Miles Michaelis, even though Michaelis is obviously American born. But Kim and Oh, those were 2 pitchers that the Cardinals signed, and in their first year they were absolutely stellar. We've had extreme amounts of success with signing players from the KBO and from Korea. They've been really good for our teams in the past. Miles Michaelis even But it seems like even outside of those first years, they haven't been the greatest players. Because even though he had a 9 or a ERA under 2 his first year, ended up with an ERA over 4 his next year after that. Kim had an insane 2020, was by far our best pitcher for that entire year, and then he just fell off a cliff this year, and he wasn't even considered a starting pitcher. And then Miles Michaelis basically had a Cy Young award worthy year, his first year here, and then he kind of just fell off a cliff once again. So hopefully Cho is somebody that has a little bit more consistency than the Cardinals, former Korean-born players and Korean League players like Michaelis. That's just something that is worth pointing out, is that we have seen success there in the Cardinals organization. And then the coolest thing about him is simply he has a dope ass dog. In his original signing picture that the Cardinals Twitter developmental page posted today, you could see his golden retriever. Jeff Passan even tweeted about it. It is 3 years old and it is very cute. It is a great dog, and I'm so glad that it is a part of the Cardinals organization. But yeah, overall, the Cardinals have to be very happy with their international free agents that they have signed. They have obviously strengthened their already really solid farm system that's headlined by guys like Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, as I've mentioned multiple times, and a multitude of other prospects, Matthew Liberatore as well. But overall, Luis Rodriguez, Jonathan Mejia, Juan Ben Cho, and a bunch of other players, and I guarantee you I've mispronounced some of their names. In conclusion, let me know what you guys thought about this. If you guys want more Prime Sport Network videos specifically about the Cardinals, or a more in-depth overall MLB podcast that we could do. As always, I'm your host, Brayden Dowers. You can follow Prime Sports Network on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at ShowMeBaseball. Yeah, thanks for watching.